Alright, Gintama villains, main villains. So today I'll be giving my thoughts on just the main villains of Gintama that have quite the biggest relevance in the main story. No minor villains or any of that stuff, but just the big runners. More specifically, Takasugi, Utsuro, Kamui, and Oboro. The ones who are in multiple arcs and the ones who are the biggest in Gintama. I know Sada is a major villain, but hey, I don't care. Just going to give my thoughts on all of these villains that I've picked out already, discuss how important they are to the main characters as well as how connected they are to their stories, like how they impacted upon it. It might be a short video, but that's just because this is kind of a filler video as I try to gain some more information for my next, analysis videos. So starting off, we're going to be getting into the one who was introduced first and probably the most important villain in Gintama, Takasugi Shinsuke. One of the first friends of our main character Gintoki and the first big main threat we had in the story. Ever since he was introduced in the Gengai arc, I was always intrigued by his nature. He had that bloodthirsty look on his face and I just wondered how Gintoki got along with this guy in the first place. Like, my man looks like a threat, eye patch and all of that stuff, the brooding type. Yeah, something like that, and whenever he was by himself he always looked like he was brooding. He was strange. It looked like he was hurting inside whilst he was the one who was doing the hurting. Knowing how big he was from hearing other people talk about him, I was expecting something major for his character. Something so big that we would have to wait about 300 episodes to see. So watching the setup and the build up was pretty hype. His future appearances past episode 17 were good and added more things to his character, like Benizakura, Shinsengumi Crisis, and other future arcs before Shogun Assassination. We got to see some bits of foreshadowing for his character, and as we got further into the series, we finally got to see this major thing happen for his character. Episode 304 to episode 305. We got to see the flashbacks of a past Takasugi, and I can tell you this, it was one of the most greatest things I've seen in anime. The way the flashback handled the importance of not just Gintoki, but Takasugi, Katsura, and Shoyo was amazing. I loved every single bit of it, and yeah, it added way more depth to Takasugi's character and cleared up all of my predictions. I was shocked, saddened, and just overall amazed by how great of a villain Takasugi just became. He's my favorite Gintama antagonist, and I can only see him rivaled by Utsuro. He just ticks all of the boxes for a great foil to the protagonist. Great design? Check. Amazing dialogue? Check. Best fight against the protagonist? Check. Hype OST? Check. His impact on the story done well? Another check. Like, what else could you wish for in someone like Takasugi? His self-destructive and bloodthirsty nature is filled with complexity and is explained in a heartbreaking manner that really makes you connect to his character. His journey is to destroy the rotten world he lives in. Simple. But the way he does it shows us that it isn't just because he's an emo kind of villain, but a villain filled with guilt, sympathy, and one who has a strong will to keep true to his ideal. I love Takasugi a lot, he's great. He's a perfect villain for Gintama and I'm glad he's my favorite. Now, next I'm gonna talk about the villain that appeared after Takasugi that has quite the biggest importance to another one of our main characters, Kamui, a warrior from the Yato clan and brother to Kagura. Kamui is someone that I loved straight off the bat. His first appearance was exciting and unexpected that filled us all with interest, and his fight with Hosen was one of the most hypest fights in Gintama as a whole. Like full-on hand-to-hand combat, it's pretty hype stuff. Would really be shocked to find out someone didn't love Kamui at first. He's kind of like Takasugi, they both have affected one of the main characters deeply beforehand, they leave them to become commanders of some group and have some strong hatred for them as they try and complete their goals. They're one of a kind, two sides of the same coin. And I also love how they differ so much. Kamui's character is a really crazy one. One minute he's smiling in joy, the next minute he's smiling with blood on his fist and face. All the while with those closed eyes looking like Brock from Pokemon. He's a chaotic villain, and that makes him even more intriguing as we want to know about how did he become that chaotic person that he is now. His fight style is savage-like and it always gives us a different side for fights in Gintama as normally they're all sword fights. The Yato style bangs so hard with him. I love how Kamui shows the extreme savage-like nature of a Yato as we heard from stories of the clan. Kagura and Umibozu don't fight that kind of way, so seeing Kamui like that was pretty neat. He's just so lovable whilst you can hate him at the exact same time, as we see him completely bully Kagura in their fight. Also, his backstory just makes him even more interesting as we see his struggles of becoming strong, driving him insane as his mother's death comes quickly. His insanity is explained as all the stress he compiled together came from not being strong enough, Koka dying, his father leaving now and then, and most of all, having to be in charge of Kagura and his mother whilst Umibozu is gone most of the time. It all comes together to make the villain that we see in the present story of Gintama, and seeing him finally genuinely smile in the Rakuyou arc was amazing, as he can finally just rest from his strength journey. Amazing stuff. I love Kamui's character and his role as a foil to both Kagura and Umibozu. Now next we have someone who kind of is a main villain and kind of isn't. Well, I put him in the video, so I guess I'll just see him as the main villain today. But I guess I just wanted to talk about him because I really like him anyway. Oboro, a ghost from Gintoki's past and someone who let his opportunities slip away. A person haunted by regret and guilt, and also an interesting character that the story matches up against not just Gintoki but Takasugi as well. Oboro is the first student of Shoyo, a senior to Gintoki, Takasugi and Katsura, and someone they all didn't know about, a ghost. Oboro's involvement in the plot is made impactful by Utsuro's actions, but I genuinely love him as an individual character that spans from him wanting to follow and stay loyal to the crow Utsuro, to him being filled with regret and guilt from not being able to join the official school of Shoyo when he had the chance to. He was saved by Utsuro and decided his life shouldn't be his own anymore, but be dedicated to that man. He joins him and helps him to reform Utsuro into the man named Yoshida Shoyo, but he would only go on to having to protect Shoyo in means of having to abandon him. After their separation, Oboro would see the school and Shoyo's new students, but would he join them? No, he feels a sense of bitterness and a strong amount of envy, only true to his human nature. So he helps the Naraku burn down the school, only to unleash Utsuro back into the world, the person who saved him in the first place. He felt loneliness in the years Shoyo wasn't there with him, so he decided to take him back for himself, but his teacher didn't come back, a crow did. The jealousy that Oboro has is a weakness he had gained, a weakness that is comparable to the other weaknesses of the students of Shoyo, like Takasugi having to cope with the death of his teacher by tearing the world apart with himself. Oboro's actions are compelling because of the series of events that had laid down on his life, more specifically his years of loneliness and ignorance. Oboro is seen as uncompelling in some people's eyes, but personally I liked his story. Not as much as Takasugi or Kamui, but he's pretty good as a villain. Now let's get into the final villain in this video, which is also the final villain of the series, Utsuro, the crow. Man, I love Utsuro so much, from his chilling OST to his gigantic presence. He's overpowered but in an understandable way that isn't a full advantage because he's trying to basically end himself. Everyone, and I mean every single viewer of Gintama, was surprised by Utsuro's appearance. The true identity of him, his abilities, his goals, everything just fit right into place for a final villain opponent. He's amazing. I love the lore surrounding him and Shoyo, especially their relationship. The idea of multiple personalities in the characters is one of my favorite tropes in stories, might even be my favorite as well. The idea of coping over traumatic experiences by changing your whole entire character is cool, and the transition between them is always great to see. Utsuro is frightening. You don't know what a person with his ability could do next, as he could basically do anything. The whole theme of hollowness that surrounds him is a compelling way of making us connect more to his character, and not just Shoyo. His name literally means empty, and how this word connects to the students of Shoyo is what I really loved. Gintoki was someone who became empty from killing his teacher. He became hollow and a shell of his old self. He only came back and filled his emptiness from running into the people of Edo whilst having the ability to be able to save them, something he couldn't do to Shoyo. Takasugi was empty at the start, but found meaning to his life thanks to Shoyo. The theme of emptiness surrounding the students of Shoyo and Utsuro is what really makes these characters so compelling. It just fits all together, right into place. I love Utsuro's impact on the story and I will never back down from that. Utsuro is one of the best and only behind Takasugi. So that's where I'm gonna end off the video for today. Hopefully you did enjoy, and if you did, make sure to like, comment and share the video. Now it's time for me to get back to getting ideas for my next analysis videos. It's been Endless Requiem, peace.